is a living tradition of, in the Kyklades, of instruments like these. My question is, how did you start? How did you learn about that, the Tsambuna and everything? How did you get into it?
When I was 9 years old, I was in my hometown in the north of Greece, in the region of Macedonia, in a city called Grevena, in the mountains. And I was seeing a movie, 9 years old. It was Sunday and it was raining. And in the movie, it was the story, it was like somebody that was like a Greek Robin Hood. He was taking from the rich and giving to the poor. So in the end, the police gathered and he knew that they would shoot him. He didn't care. So he said in the movie, he said the word play, pekse. He was in a plaza, in a old Χωριό, in a village.
The center of the village.
In the center of the village. The story was about Civil War Greece.
Okay.
That was the time frame of the movie. So he said, play. And I heard this sound. I heard the sound of the bagpipe. I didn't know the bagpipe because in my hometown we don't have this instrument.
Don't have gaida there?
They don't have, no. I was in my hometown, they have clarino, daire, drum, lute, accordion, Epirus style, with its unique characterization also. But I didn't know. So in my childhood soul, I combined the sound of the bagpipe with the defeat of death. Because during the playing of the bagpipe, he started dancing and they shoot him while he was dancing. He knew, they surrounded him. He started dancing with the bagpipe and they shoot him and he died with this sound. So in my childhood memory, that was the first heroic act I seen in my life. I was 9 years old, I didn't know. But I combined this sound with this grace. When I was in 2005, I was in my hometown and I found a recording of folk music instruments from Greece, a great production that happened that has the different instruments, all in categories. One CD for lauto, one for clarinet, and one it was Gaida Zambouna Zournas.
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah. So there I heard the recording of Grilis, and suddenly I'm hearing and I'm hearing the Zambouna and the Tubaki, and I felt again 9 years old dancing like this heroic man.
About to die. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't care, you know. And I was a saxophone player, I was a professional blues harmonica player. I was working in jazz bars and I forgot everything. Everything finished and I moved to Naxos to learn the Zambouna. I asked what kind of, this is the Zambouna. This is the sound that I was looking for. So I went directly, I moved to Naxos to learn an instrument that I didn't know how it looks like. I didn't know that it had leather, goat skin, cow horn and reeds. I didn't care.
It was the sound that brought
I didn't care. When I went to the maker in Naxos to buy my first instrument, he said to me, do you see it? I said, no. He says in the corner, there it is. Look, this is the Zambouna. Bring it. And because I was a saxophone player and a flute player, immediately I played.
It's easy if you're a flute player.
If you are a saxophone and a recorder player, it's easier.
It's the same kind of technique.
The same, completely. Or a ney player or a caval player, it's the same thing. Or a clarinet and saxophone, they're not, it's like speaking Italian, as I speak French, Spanish, you speak a language family. So I went to Naxos and I stayed 3 months there. I was working in Naxos. I rented a beautiful home in Naxos. And I stayed there and the only thing I did, I had my motorbike and I was going to house of Bagpipes of Naxos, recording them every time the same thing. come, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink, eat, drink. Friends are coming and suddenly something happens. Whoa! So I went all to the islands and I started going more to that, and I wanted one day to make a museum, and I managed to receive the instruments from all the makers that I asked, and I have in my collection also the oldest instrument of Samos Island. Somebody gave me the bagpipe of his father, and I said to him, if you want back the instrument, you can ask me. The instrument belongs to Samos. It's the oldest instrument of the island, and I have it here. And then I started searching to how to construct the instrument. That was the other thing, how to play, and then how to construct the instruments. When I lived with a shepherd for 3 months in Naxos, all day with him.
Just to learn how to make it.
To make it and to hear the stories. He was speaking with rhymes. When he was communicating with me, he was speaking in rhymes, like a pentasyllable. He was speaking like that, and I lived with him. He was a storyteller. So he affected me. And then I said, I want to go back to Santorini, and I want to make a workshop, an exhibition, to make the instrument and to play it for visitors.
We can see in your display there that there's different types of sambuna in the different islands. For example, in Kalymnos, I think they have a drone on the sambuna.
5 and 3.
5 and 3.
5 and 3 they have in Kalymnos.
Yeah. And so there's different styles, not only of the sambuna, how it's built, but also the way that it's played.
In Kalymnos, there's only tsambuna, there's no dubaki, as an example, or lute. Tsambuna plays alone. In Karpathos, there is 3, tsambuna, lute, and lira, always. In Santorini, there is tsambuna dubaki. I think in every island, there was a very good player that he established the legacy of the next ones. Because he made one with 5-3 as an example, and he played alone. There is even bagpipers today that they are playing hours alone in fiestas, alone. Like Yannis Pantazis in Leros, one of the most extraordinary pipers alive today. And they established that, and everybody followed them. Or somebody had a very good instrument, and everybody followed that instrument.
That became the standard model.
The standard model is the standard playing and the standard everything for the next generations.
Yeah.
Probably something like that happened, and somebody standardized the elements. Also from my travels, I noticed that, I don't know what is that, but islands that have big mountains, their tsambunas are very low. F sharp, G, like Naxos. And the islands that they're like quite flat, the tsambunas are high. Do you know what's the difference between the tsambuna and the gaida? The gaida sees mountains and the tsambuna waves.
That's it. It reflects the landscape.
Yesterday when Dimitri was playing the violin, like the space and it was dancing. Like suddenly, immediately, like it's this when he started playing the Nisciotiko, the place was, I was trying to sleep in my home and it
activates.
Like activate, and I'm sure also the other people that heard it around, okay, where's the violin? It activates the space.
Yeah.
When you play that music in Estonia, of course it is nice, but does not resonate with the space. It's like eating pepper salmon in Norway and here. It's not the same. It's not like drinking bourbon in Kentucky. When I drink Jack Daniels in Kentucky, I say in Europe we are drinking petrol. This is the original thing. Here in Kentucky, you have to drink it.
Whenever I'm traveling on a road trip with my friends somewhere, the one rule that I have is: listen, we're going to take a room, one bed. I'll sleep on the floor. Doesn't matter. I'm a very easy person to travel with. My only rule is, I want to listen to the music of that place.
The DNA.
There is something magical. We were in Anatolia with my friend Christophe in November, and traveling through those mountains, and we were putting, the Soufine. And there's a difference. Of course, the music is still beautiful. When I'm in Quebec, I'm listening to the Soufine, and it's beautiful. But when you're hearing it resonate with those Anatolians, there is a vibrancy to it. It vibrates differently. For me, what fascinates me about the bagpipe music of Greece is the movement that it has, the way that the notes they dance with each other.
When you are in the desert, you don't have reflection. You hear the music of the great music of people from Mali, or the Gnawa, or the people in Egypt. Incredible music, but it's dry as hell. Dry as hell. Well, but they don't have a reflection. Mm-hmm. They have a horizon, but they don't have space to be able to. It's like flatland. That's it. You have to go to Dogon, to Mali, to be able to see some diversity. When you hear that the music reflects the space. Here, it's completely different. The poetry of the Hellenic landscape is tremendous. Before Homer, from Orpheus. Orpheus exists before Homer. How they speak about the landscape. You have everything. You are in Pelio and suddenly you are in the mountain and you are in the sea. These coral reefs, the sun, the mountains, the poetry of Greece from the depths of history is full of praising the landscape. They invented the word echo, of course, because they had the gorges, they had the initiation processes, they found the caves. A big problem in the Plato's cave, it was not the people, they were confused because they were locked inside the cave. And they were seeing also in front, and they were seeing the shadows. Plato, he speaks about the noise. The magicians in the back, they were speaking all the time, and it was a confusion, a delayed confusion. Imagine, you are entrapped, you see shadows, and there is a mess, completely chaos. There's not silence. There is also acoustic chaos. Plato, he was very keen on the acoustic ability of people. And that, I think this is the Greek, the Mediterranean light and soundscape. When you see a movie in Hollywood and it's shooted in Mediterranean, you notice it from the light. It's somewhere in Italy. Yeah. It's somewhere in Morocco. You can understand this Mediterranean.
There's a Mediterranean. It's true. It's a full sun at noon here is different from Canada.
The full sun on the oil, yes.
It's a very different. It's the same. If you know clouds, but it's a different sun.
South of France, like some James Bond movie, immediately. Okay, south of France, you see it like immediately. You see like it's the light, it's the escape, and that's what people praised it. It's very condensed. It's small.
And there's this thing that I've heard all over Greece, whether it's the Kyklades, whether it's the Askomadura and Crete. I've heard a lot of people say that these are instruments that for 100 years they were almost going to get lost. For a lot of time they were getting less popular, and now in the recent decades, the younger generations, especially, for example, in Crete, they said Askomadura had almost completely disappeared from the island.
Yeah, almost.
It's not even that long ago that I had a very hard time finding one. 2005, I finally make it to Greece. I was looking everywhere. There was no tzabuna to be had. I couldn't find it.
That's how hard it was.
Yeah, that's how limited it was just, almost 20 years ago.
Is it better now?
Now I can make a phone call, go on Facebook, and find 5 different guys that know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's until recent years where the younger generation saw this as almost being lost, started applying it back into their repertoires. Ascumandura. Ascumandura was almost extinct until recent years. It's always just before you lose it that you start appreciating it and you try and revive it.
It was an unfortunately deceased fellow musician and respectful musician, Yannis Pantazis, that he recorded the last Pipers, and he was the one that he made the revival of the Ascumandura in Crete, Yannis Pantazis. I made the revival in Santorini. In Santorini it was forgotten completely, and I managed to find all the instruments of the Pipers of Santorini, and is on the exhibition right now, except one. And I found photos, recordings, and I did the revival. Now I have students, and it's gonna be here forever now.
So for some time, this was an instrument that went silent on the island, essentially. We were not hearing it anymore.
It went silent on the island. That's a nice expression you might hear. I managed to find the last piper, Vangelis Markoulis from Ia, a little bit before he died, and he played for me. And he gave me also the bagpipe of his uncle. A huge tradition was in Akrotiri village, where was a great piper named Arvanitis. And the tradition died with him because he didn't learn others, because he was living from the bagpipe. He was playing the bagpipe on fiestas, and he was selling rabbits. He was hunting rabbits because it's very poor here. It's a poor place. So people that went to his home to buy meat, and he made his money from the bagpipe in fiestas and celebrations.
Interesting.
Yes. So he never taught no one, and his excuse was, Uncle, I want to play the bagpipe. No, your fingers are very fat. It means, but his fingers was like a carrot. And he never tuned because he was losing his money, his job. Now his grandchild plays.
I mean,
my first student is his grandchild.
His grandchild.
Yes, my first.
I mean, Dimitris the other day, yesterday I was talking about the violin with him. And it's very interesting. He told me a very similar situation when it comes to folk music of the violin. He said that the violins in some of the islands, the people, they wouldn't teach you how to do the traditional style of violin or any other instrument because you don't want to create competition. If you have the recipe for Coca-Cola, you're not going to, and your Coca-Cola, you don't want to give it to everybody.
Yes, but they were living from that.
Yeah, because they live from that. And so this contributed. It was one of the reasons why these traditions were dying out in Greece. And then one of those that we talked about, of course, was that it's difficult to play a traditional tsambuna or ascumandura with the other instruments because they're not tuned the same. Ascumandura, for example, the old model, the spacing of the holes creates a minor scale that's not the same as the minor on the lauto.
And the sixth note is a little bit lower.
I also noticed, tell me if my ear is wrong, I feel like some of the notes weren't perfect, like equal temperament. It didn't feel like minor.
No.
Yeah.
See, that's the beauty of this stuff is that it's so raw. Now what you have is makers that are trying to match them with the Western scales, right?
Equal temperament.
Exactly. So you're losing a lot of the quarter tones.
Yeah.
And you're losing a lot of the flavor of what made these instruments.
Mostly the old instruments, they were very smelly. The instrument I took from Naxos, it was original.
Yeah.
Directly from the source.
Right.
I had to, nobody could stand next to me.
Smelled like goat.
100% goat in erection.
In heat.
Yes. So also the instrument was like that. They were connected also to a very poor time of people's life, shepherds, fishermen. And like in the island of Ios, the bagpiper was the garbage man.
Yeah.
So this instrument was connected to that, and also the urban environment. They went more to the violin, more elegant. Everything changed. This was connected to a life that they didn't want to have anymore, and started the decline in some islands. In all over the islands, they had traditions mostly. Here it was lost. There were bagpipers in every village here. Every village in Santorini, they had bagpipers. Then the revival started in Greece spontaneously 20 years back, but not only in Greece, in all over Europe started an instant revival of the bagpipe. Instant, in Italy, in Germany, in Estonia. I was a part of a European program, and I traveled to many countries, and I then because BBC came and made me a documentary called Pipe Dreams, I noticed that the revival of the instrument was instant in Galicia, in France, all over Europe.
Yeah.
At the same time this happened without people knowing each other.
I feel like at the same time, all over Europe, the bagpipe was dying and
Resurrected.
And very often, my friend Dimitrios Dallas, he said that
It's always just before you lose it that you start appreciating
Yeah.
it and you try and revive it.
I think maybe at the last minute people notice that we have this ancient tradition and we're going to lose it if we don't do anything.
Not all the islands.
Not all of them.
No, Naxos, the tradition was always, from the time of, I think, from the time of Dionysus, they never lost it.
Interesting.
When I went there, I found 30, 40 pipers,
Yeah.
young kids, all in the island of Kea, of Gia, a huge tradition, the biggest amount of pipers in Gia. Karpathos, of course, a huge tradition.
Yeah.
In some islands, it were in Evia, in Charistos. The tradition in Greece also is very vibrant and alive. The Gaidas on the north, it's Ambounas. I noticed that Paros has very high instruments. Naxos is like very low. Islands that have Anafi, that have mountains, their bagpipe was also low. For me, the most wonderful sound and tuning of the bagpipe is the F sharp minor. E, F sharp is the sound for me that is closer to the sound of the goat. The real one.
Yeah.
The real.
That's their vocal register.
Yeah, F sharp G. Yeah. The bagpipes that are F sharp in G minor are for me the most authentic sound of the instrument. For me.
Because it's the closest to the natural sound of the animal itself.
Yes, for me. In Paros they have high Do, high B. This one I have in my hand now is B flat. The Tsambuna is a goat. And the goat is the only mammal in nature that was not as a pet. I don't know.
Yeah, that we don't keep.
As a pet, doesn't have a conscience of like a lamb, like a cat, like a dog. If you let it loose, it will disappear. That's why they're holding their feet. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have any kind, and the instrument, is not like a lute, like a piano, like a lira, like a saxophone. You have to serve it. When it blows, it has a drive that you have to follow it. It means your sentimental world is not filtered inside that. If you take an oud, if you take a ney, if you take a clarinet, I'm gonna hear your sentimental world immediately with one note. Tang, B.B. King. Tang, Stevie Ray Vaughan. Tang, Vasilis Aleas. Tang. When you blow that, between you and the instrument, there is a barrier that your sentimental world is completely filtered. You have to follow and run behind it.
The instrument.
Like the goat. If you leave the goat on the hill, you have to run to catch it. It doesn't serve you. You have to serve the instrument. The other instruments is based on your feelings. Whatever you feel. However, especially nays and clarinets and all canoons and all, I like the sentimental part of that. But this, there is no sentimental part, is you and nature, unmasked.
It's such a powerful sound too, that it's there's this primal power to that sound. There's no place for your own,
There's no you. There's no you anymore.
Yeah.
It's connected like the drama. When you play the drama, when you play the tragedy, when you play that instrument, you're not yourself. When you play theater, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
This is a ritual instrument that you don't go to a concert to hear Tsambuna. It's stupid. You don't go to sit down and in the stage somebody plays the Tsambuna and you sit down and listen to the instrument like a string quartet or like an Persian classical music. It's stupid. Doesn't need a microphone. You have to be around people and it's alcohol.
It's an event instrument.
It's a ritual instrument.
Ritual.
Like all the instruments are ritual instruments.
But this one, especially these bagpipes, they're for dances. They're for these celebrations.
The endorphins with this instrument, especially after 5, 6, and 9 minutes, when you play constantly for 9 minutes, you get to a zone. You're losing yourself, and then suddenly you feel the wave. The Tsambuna for me, the bagpipe, is going to the heaven and the drum goes to the earth. So they are two different powers that create harmony in the middle. The drum is taking you down and the Tsambuna is going to the air. It's two elements of nature combined together. The bag in antiquity symbolizes the human body. You are holding yourself in a way. Sakos, askos, sak is the name of your body. The flute had the symbolism of spiritualization in the world. And the horn also expands the sound, but it was a ritual Dionysian cult material. So the materials in this instrument can be explained through symbolism. My speculation is that the instrument, the goat, when it's on sexual erection, makes some sounds. And this instrument is connected to sexuality. Why? Because the leg of the skin for the ancient Greeks symbolizes the penis. Yes. It's connected to the myth of Theseus and Aegean, his father. And of course, this instrument was played in Apokrias in Halloween. What happens there? Phallic erection. When you drink and play, you want to mate. That's it. Even if this instrument is completely lost and the only thing we have is some memories, it can still be resurrected, and as everything in our life, everything is a circle.
I think that this is a kind of instrument that it's inevitable that kind of instrument would be made in a certain kind of, if you have this kind of land, if you have this animal. I think this instrument, as you said, even if it goes back, somebody else would come up with the idea of the bagpipe at some point.
Definitely. It will be reinvented. Mm-hmm. It will be reinvented. If the Minister of Intelligence I met the Minister of Intelligence of South Africa.
Yeah.
And he asked me, we have goats, we have cows, we have reeds. How we didn't make this instrument? Like, now I've seen it. We have cows in Africa, we have goats, we have. I said to him, you don't have Dionysus.
That was the one missing element.
You need at least Dionysus or a reason to have, or somebody. So I said to him, if you like, I can come to South Africa and we'll go to a village and I will teach the indigenous people how to make this instrument.
How to make those bagpipes.
Yes, I will sit down with them. I will teach. Of course, they will slaughter a goat for me. I will cut the reeds. I will take the cow horn because they have endless cows, and I will teach them. And let's make an experiment. I will teach them to make an instrument. They will call it Sambuna because they're gonna learn forever, and then they will apply it to their own culture.
Yeah.
And after some years, it will be like a traditional of a village, let's say. This is how this happened. Probably the instrument traveled. That's why it was made. It was, and even now in Megalochori, there is old people that they were on the boats, sailors, and they had the bagpipe with them. They have memories of the bagpiper, of the Sambuna player being with them on the boats.
On the sea.
On the sea. It was, this guy from here, he had the Sambuna and we were playing on the boats.
So it traveled.
That's why it traveled. That's why you find it close to the sea. Malta, Morocco.
Yeah. The south of Italy, you find it.
South of Italy, Calabria, there, Napoli, close to the sea. Basques, again, close to the sea. Celts,
Galicia,
Britain, again, close to the sea. Ireland, Wales, again, next to the sea. Scotland, again, mountains on Ireland, again, next to the sea. South of Iran.
Yeah.
That
it's
is
in the south. It's in the south that we have it, and only next to the sea.
It's on the sun. Because it traveled. It was an instrument that somebody can build it. Because until today, there are people that they know how to slaughter, how to cut the reed. They know how to cultivate the earth, to paint, to do. So it was an instrument that doesn't need a lot of mentality. If your mind is sharp and there is one of my first students here, the second student I had is somebody that's close to the earth, Nectarios, here in Santorini. When I saw him the instrument, and I said to him, this is the reed, this is that, he made it by himself directly without teaching him anything.
It's not a harpsichord.
It's not a harpsichord. No.
It travels. It's.
If you're a handyman.
If you're a handyman, it's the basic materials of people living with their animals, with their goats. It's not an organ of a church. It's.
You can carry it with you.
Yeah, that's why I call it one of the primeval instruments. There's something primitive, not in a bad sense, primitive, not in the pejorative sense, but primitive in the sort of it's one of the, it feels like one of those original instruments of humanity in a way that, the harpsichord is not. It's something simple in a way.
It became.
Yeah.
It's closer. 3 animals on it: lamb, cow, horn, and goat.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
3. We put lamb. This is now reed, but we put also from lamb.
Yeah.
Cow horn has 3 animals on it. What else to explain? Let's play one.
Let's play.
Take the drum.